Okay, so in this video, this is actually the second part of the previous one. We are gonna be doing the caruncula and also we are gonna be doing the second eyeball. So yeah, let's actually start with the caruncula because we have already selected it, and we are obviously gonna be doing the UVs first because we actually have used the extrude, and because we used the extrude, these UVs are just not gonna be accurate now. So we need to re-add all the seams, and let's actually just do that. So the easier way is gonna be to just select these seams from the UVs. So I'll actually just show you how to do that. I've actually tried some settings and it didn't really work, so I actually had to do it manually now. As you can see that I'm actually just selecting these manually, and the idea is this is just gonna give me seams where it was originally there without the extrude, and now I can just select edges that are basically just the continuation of these previous ones. So that's what I'm doing, and it is just gonna be like pretty easy UV unwrap. Let's actually start with this color. This is kind of our color that we have on the eyeball. The reason is pretty simple. It is just gonna blend pretty nicely. In the future, we are just gonna be looking at the references and try to figure out the color or the caruncula as well. But in this case, let's actually just start with this color. Obviously, this is also gonna have some of the variations, and you can see me adding these variations. I guess the previous color didn't work, so I had to replace it with this one. And you can clearly see the amount of variation we can do in the reference, by the way. So the reference is gonna be pretty important. And I'm also just gonna keep on rendering again and again to figure out if everything is working or not. And yeah, let's actually just start with the paler color because as you can see in the reference, on the outer part of the caruncula, the paler it basically gets. And that's what I'm actually trying to achieve. Also, you can get a little bit of pale color on the main part of the caruncula. So yeah, I'm just looking at the reference and try to figure out if I can achieve something similar. Okay, now we are actually just gonna start adding the veins, and you can like see that we have veins in the reference as well. So again, this is the same workflow, like literally the same workflow. There isn't really anything changing. And by the way, whatever we have on the right hand side is just gonna be transparent. So you don't really need to focus too much on the rightmost part of the caruncula. So you can like totally ignore it if you really want to. As you can see, just adding the colors and removing the colors so that we basically can a little bit of variation is what I'm doing right now. And yeah, let's actually try and create a shader for that transparency that I've talked about. So what we can do, we can actually just copy the similar principal BSDF so that so that we don't really have to adjust all the settings separately for this one. All the subsurface setting is gonna be similar. So I have used the color attributes in the base color so that we actually can see the true colors of it. And yeah, this is basically how the color is looking, and it is actually looking pretty nice. And also, I'll actually talk about the rings that I've added again in the future. But yeah, let's actually talk about the shader now. So you can see that I am using the gradient texture, and there is a problem. We have to delete the left part. So I am just gonna delete it. And the reason is again to simplify the shader, and after we are done shading the one part, we can just duplicate it to the other side. And we also can just adjust the UVs, as you can see. So pack island is just gonna work fine. Even though we are actually in the highest subdivision, it is still okay for Blender to just do the adjustment in the UVs. And now we can just create a mask just like we've created before. So I think this is gonna be like the easy thing to do. But yeah, instead of linear, I am just gonna use the B spline so that the transition is gonna be a bit more smoother, as you can see. And now we can actually just use a transparent BSDF and just add a mix shader so that we can actually use this mask. So yeah, let me just do that real quick. I really hope this is something that you are comfortable with, by the way, just using the nodes. So yeah. Okay, so as you can see that it actually have gotten a little bit transparent, and yeah, now you can like see how it is looking, but obviously it is not transparent enough. So we need to increase the whites a bit, and we need to remove some of the blacks like this. And yeah, you can like see this transparency that is going on. And trust me, in the render, you're not even gonna be able to tell whether we are using a transparency map or not. And right now you can see how it is actually looking, and it is looking okay. In my opinion, you're gonna see in the render that it actually looks pretty nice. And because we have shadow in this particular area, I had to rotate it. By the way, this ring around the eyes, you can see that in the reference. I am just gonna show you how to create these rings in the future. Right now I was actually just experimenting it, and what I did, it didn't really turned out to be nice. In the end, I'll actually just show it to you in the future. Also, I've decreased the value of the iris, as you can see. Also, the color is different. Like you can see so much of the stuff going on. And yeah, we are just going to change all of that. The color of the iris is darker, as you can clearly see. Also, I've tried achieving something similar going on the lens, but I think I'm just going to remove that in the future. And this part was whiter, so we gonna have to add a little bit of red now. And that's what I'm doing. This was a bit too white, like in the render, so I am actually just adding the reds now. Also, I feel like that in the future I am also gonna be adding the browns a little bit. Again, I'm just gonna do the same thing, just start adding the veins again, because you can clearly see the veins in the coruncula. And just trying to achieve something similar. And now you know why you don't really have to focus too much on the right hand side, because you are not gonna be able to see that. Again, you can see that I'm actually trying to blend out these veins, because I don't really want them to pop out as much. And now we can actually just do another render to see if the reds are working or not. And that's how it is looking. By the way, you cannot tell the transparency mask, right? I know the colors are not correct, but at least the shader is working. So that is something that I'm actually happy about. And let's actually decrease the subsurface, because it is making the color a bit too white. So I am actually decreasing the subsurface just for that. Now, as you can see that I've actually started adding the reds, because again the white was a bit too much. In order to counter that white, I have actually started adding these saturated reds. I think right now what I can see in the reference, the caruncula is pretty brown. And The skin color is actually kind of matching with the carancula. So if I were to, start painting it again, I would have actually just started adding the browns in order to match it with the reference. And I think I'm actually gonna do that in this video as well, if I can remember it correctly. But let's just say if I don't do that, like I'm already telling you the thought process that I'm going on while watching this video. You can like see in the reference how it is matching with the skin color. So if something similar is happening with your reference, try to just achieve the same thing. In this particular render, you can see how white everything is. So yeah, we definitely need to do a test render. And this ring, by the way, I'll actually just tell you how I did it. We've actually made it a bit reddish, and I think now I'm talking about that it should be a bit brown. I think now I'm talking about it. So let's actually just can see that I've actually started picking the darker colors. So yeah, you can see that I have also started adding the browns. Okay, so as you can see that I'm actually just darkening this stuff up, and instead of brown, I'm not really adding as much brown as I thought that I did, but I am again just darkening this part up. As soon as I talked about the brown, I am like adding it. I actually feel like that my past self sometimes just try to roast me, or maybe the future self of me is kind of dumb. You can see that I have actually started adding the browns as well. So I guess I've noticed it, and now I'm just trying to fix that. But yeah, we gonna have to do some renders to actually see how it looks. So I guess I'm gonna do it right now. You can like see how red it is. So yeah, let's actually do the render, and yeah, it is definitely looking so much more better. Like you can see the shader is also working pretty nicely, by the way. You can like clearly see how the shader is looking. But yes, this corner is looking weird, so we need to push it in a bit. In order to do that, we obviously just can go into the sculpt mode and just grab it. Or maybe I'm just painting it dark. Oh wait, I think I'm painting it dark. I thought that I'm gonna just move it inside, but no, I'm just painting it a bit dark. Now we can actually just start adding a little bit of pale color to, add a little bit of variation. So that is something that I'm doing right now. You actually know the drill. This is something that I've used in basically every part to do the coloring. That is also something that I'm actually doing in this one. As you can see, I've also started working on the skin again. I've already told you that I'm gonna do that, so you cannot actually say anything to me. I am just gonna work on a little bit of skin, like not the skin, but on the details. As you can see that I am still close to the skin and just working on the details. And because you have seen me doing this so many times, I'm just gonna leave and let you watch it one more time. you've seen that I basically have added a whole lot of randomness in the skin, and that's why I actually created that small detailed brush in order to go over all the skin to add a little bit of randomness in the skin. And you've also seen the renders, by the way, that we've done while adding the details. Also some of the paler parts on the edges of the eyelids, that is something that we've did. Can like see how different the skin is looking right now. Obviously, like you can see in the render, what we tried to achieve, we basically tried to add as much randomness as we can. And now in this particular case, I've actually added a little bit of veins to see how good the veins are looking. So that is basically what the idea is. I can now you can see that I'm actually gonna continue working on the eye, because if you were to just compare it with the reference, the eye of Amit Ji is actually not as much white as we can see in the render. So I need to lower down the whites a bit, and that's why you can see that I'm actually using the yellows. So that's basically what the idea is right now, to actually lower down the whites. I'm just again trying to match it with the reference. You can also see a patch in the eyes actually, so that is also one of those things that I'll add. You can see how I'm actually just adding the darker tones color, so that we basically can lower it down. And yeah, you can see that I've actually started adding this patch that you can see in the render, not in the render but in the reference. So I am just trying to copy it over here. Obviously you don't have to match it 100%, but just make sure that you basically give the hint of it, and and people are just going to realize it. Like people are just going to, they are just going to pick it. You can see that we have added the patch, and it is working, like not working, but it is looking nice. But I think in the reference it needs to go to the bottom of the lower eyelid, so that's what I'm doing right now. So yes, this is again just the game of looking at the reference and how nice it is looking, and just trying to replicate the same thing in the portrait as well. You can see that I am just trying to do the same thing. As you can see in the reference, there is a patch in this particular area as well, and I am just trying to match it. So that's basically the reason I am adding these colors. Again, just I'm gonna do another test render, and as you can see, the red is a bit too much. So now I'm just gonna remove it. If you are good enough, by the way, you might not have to do this, but I am not super good right now, you can say. So I actually need to, use this workflow to basically check if I'm actually doing everything correctly or not. This is basically the workflow, and I am just gonna do the similar things, by the way. I am also gonna paint the other eye in this video, I think. So right now I am just gonna let you watch the video because I've already shown you everything that I could have. I don't think there is anything else for me to explain. If anything important were to come up, I'll actually just come back. I actually sometimes feel so embarrassed, like I am literally just mirroring out right now. And I've already talked about that I'm gonna see you if important were to come up, and it literally just came up like in a second. So we are actually just gonna be mirroring it. Obviously, the mirroring object is going to be our portrait. So I've just selected that, and then I've just duplicated the modifier to object. And now what you can do, you can actually just apply the mirror modifier, which I am gonna do right now. And yeah, you can actually just separate this eyeball out if you really want to, which is what I am doing right now, so that I basically can just paint on it separately. That's what I'm gonna do with every other part. I don't think with the iris, but with the carancula. But yeah, now I'm just gonna start painting on this one, which is also gonna be the same kind of a workflow. So I'm again just gonna let you watch it, and this is basically it for this video, and from now on we are gonna be just talking about the spec maps or everything else. I think the coloring is done. I'm just gonna see you in the next one.